Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have a spicy topic for you guys, and that is marriage and weight loss. Specifically, how sometimes your weight loss, getting fit, can lead to a demise of your marriage or to divorce. Now, I am not a fan of divorce. I'm an advocate of marriage. I love marriage. I think marriage is beautiful. I think marriage with the right person is one of the most beautiful gifts that God gave us. And I think that you should, in all circumstances, aside from, of course, the obvious, that you should try and make things work with your partner. However, I do know a couple of clients, and I have had a couple of, sort of tangentially knowing people that once they got fit, they realized that their partner liked them and appreciated them for the wrong reasons. And their partner realized that they were not attracted to this person as a healthy person. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what happens when you lose weight and actually get healthy for real, and why that can sometimes ruin marriages. So let's get into it. Number one, whenever you decide to change your life, you're actually deciding to change who you are at the core, right? The ultimate change at the core is obviously becoming a believer, but there's other things in life that sort of mimic that, like transformation. So when you decide that you're going to get healthy, your habits change, your beliefs change, right? Your desires change. Let's go back to beliefs for a second. The most common belief that changes when you decide to lose weight is this. This sounds crazy, but it's, I can do hard things, and I actually deserve and should take care of my body. I deserve the time to take care of my body. And I know people have problems with the word deserve because it's like, you don't deserve anything, everything is given to you by God. Okay, we can play Christianese all we want to, but the reality is, the bottom line is that a lot of women actually do not think that they deserve to take care of themselves. And yes, some of this is Christian teaching. Some of this is like, you need to pour all of your energy and effort into your husband and your children and nothing into yourself, or you're selfish. And when they finally realize, wow, I'm diabetic, my knees hurt, I can't run if I really needed to, I can't chase my kids around, I'm exhausted, I'm angry, and actually I'm bitter and resentful, then that belief changes and they go, I actually deserve to be able to take care of myself, even if it's just an hour a day, even if it's just 45 minutes a day. That shift is a ripple effect in your marriage. That's a fact. So once you start to recognize that, oh, I actually have value, and actually if I take care of myself, I'm even more valuable to my husband and my children, because now I'm not subconsciously bitter at them because I'm not able to take care of myself. I'm actually a better wife and a better mother. That changes things. Now your husband may have to pick up some of the slack that you were doing the entire marriage. Yes, that is a real thing. Oh, you want to work out for an hour? Now your husband may have to, watch the kids for an hour. Or a sibling, or like their aunts and uncles, or your parents, or whatever. Oh, I won't just eat whatever you expect me to eat. I won't just go out and drink with you anymore. Well, what do we have in common if we can't drink together? What do we have in common if we can't stuff our faces together? Because now you've changed who you are at the core. And this is a big deal because remember, when you get married, people marry you for who you are. They don't marry you for like who you could potentially become. But that's actually a part of marriage, is you actually have to deal with the fact that people will change. And to me, this is a change for the better. But I know for some people, they don't really believe it as, that that's a change for the better. But it's difficult for people. It's difficult for men, and it's difficult for women. And I'm going to talk about this from the women's perspective because I do have one reference point for men, which I'll talk about later. I have one client that we spoke about this And it was actually really, it was eye-opening for me. But for women, it's often, men will actually get jealous when they start taking care of themselves. I remember I have a family member who his wife was into like CrossFit, and he was pretty big, pretty overweight. And he said to me, yeah, like she's all into CrossFit, like she thinks that she's doing something. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And he had tried many times to lose weight and just couldn't. He drank a lot of beer and, just ate a lot of junk food. And I was like, this is really interesting. He's actually mad that she's trying. And I'm sure there's a little bit of jealousy there. You're going to a CrossFit class, even if these guys are like, a lot of these guys are really fit, and your wife is around all these people, so I can understand that aspect. But when he said that, I thought, wow, this is why a lot of women will just give up. Because imagine you're trying to work out really hard, and you're trying to change your body, and maybe the results are not as fast as you'd like them, but you feel good, and you feel healthier, and your husband goes, well, I can't really see a difference. Yeah. And you start to realize, oh my gosh, my husband actually doesn't like me. He doesn't like me enough to want me to be healthy. Yeah, like that. And these are the sort of things that start to come up whenever you get healthy. And you have to ask yourself, wow, did I really marry a man who doesn't value me so much that he actually hates when I want to get healthy? Yes. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked, you guys. But a lot of women, they're in marriages like this, where their husband doesn't want them to be fit. He wants them to be a mama. He wants them to be in the Black community. He wants them to be this sort of like grandma Medea figure who is just taking care of everything. Because if she starts taking care of herself, he is going to have to take care of himself as well. And a lot of men do not want to do that, and a lot of women don't want to do that. So that's the first thing. Now, I want to talk about this from a male perspective. So I had a conversation with a client about maybe 7 years ago, and we were talking about him getting fit. And he goes, you know what? And he was a very handsome man. He was a football player. He had put on some weight, and he goes, if I get fit, I just know the girls are going to come after me, and I don't know if I can say no. Now, that's a hard issue. Let's talk about it. That's a hard issue. But how many of us are not losing weight because we know, oh, wow, if I lose weight and my husband doesn't, will I even find my husband attractive? Or will other men find me attractive and I'm not really that attracted to my husband? Do you see what I'm saying? That's a real question. That's a real question that people have to wrestle with. And I think we oftentimes act like getting fit is just something that, it's just one thing. It's just like you changing the way you eat and exercising. But there are a lot of deep-seated issues that make someone overweight and make someone obese. And the fact of the matter is that when you're obese and overweight, you do have low self-esteem. Period. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Argue with your dirty draws. Do not argue with me. No one can convince me otherwise. People with healthy self-esteem do not let themselves look like they treat themselves like garbage. They don't. People with healthy amounts of self-worth, understanding that God made you with a body that is a temple, people with healthy amounts of self-worth do not let themselves get treated like garbage, including the way that they treat themselves. Period, point blank. You can, again, argue with somebody else. Do not argue with me. This is my own experience with my own clients. Every single time someone changes their life for real, their spouse has to have a come to Jesus moment where they are like, wow, I actually appreciated this person when they were unhealthy. I don't know if I like them when they're healthy. Because when they're healthy, they don't treat me the same way. When they're healthy, I don't get to use and abuse them the same way. When they're healthy, they have different expectations of me. You want to talk about it? When you're healthy, you expect other people around you to be healthy and to engage in healthy behaviors. You raise the standard in your marriage. And if you two have been, playing around in this little la-la unhealthy land, and all of a sudden, one of you decides, I think I want to be healthy for real. I think I want to go to therapy and figure out why I have such low self-value and so low self-worth, and why I love myself so much and hate myself so much at the same time that I'm willing to abuse food and neglect my body. And that same person who decided to abuse food and neglect my body, chose this person to be married to from a place of woundedness, from a place of lack. And now I have to figure out, how do I make this relationship work when I chose this person from a place of woundedness and from a place of neediness and not a healthy place? Now, I've worked with many of women who have been able to do this. This is not a problem. I don't think this is hard. I don't think this has to end in your marriage ending. But it's something that you have to come to terms with. You have to be willing to understand and deal with the fact that, yes, if I get healthy, the dynamics in my marriage may change. And when the dynamics in my marriage change, there'll be some rocky waters, there'll be some waves in the marriage. And we have to withstand those waves. You have to be ready for it. You have to be prepared for it. I made a video last Friday about, when you become a believer, it makes waves in your family because they're so accustomed to you being a certain way, right? They're so accustomed to you acting and talking and behaving in a certain way, and it rocks the boat. It rocks the entire dynamic of the family. The same thing happens when you lose weight, because you start moving differently. You start valuing, taking care of your body. And this doesn't mean you have to be obsessed. This is another thing that we are, to me, I think it's a non-starter. So if I take care of myself, I'm obsessed with myself, I'm narcissistic. If I don't, then I'm righteous and holy and penitent and, I'm humble. And that's just stupid. That's just, again, all or nothing thinking that is really prevalent, I think, spiritually in all these religious circles. You could do both, actually. And I always think of the Proverbs 31 woman. People love to talk about her, but they don't want to talk about the fact that she took care of herself. And she took care of her family and her husband. So it's very possible to do it. They say she woke up early in the morning. Yes, she woke up early in the morning. A lot of y'all not willing to wake up early in the morning to get fit. Not willing to do it. But that's the kind of thing that changes when you decide that your life is going to change. So now, no, babe, I'm not staying up till midnight with you watching garbage TV, which is not edifying to your soul anyway, and actually doesn't support a healthy marriage. Us sitting together and watching a box doesn't support a healthy marriage. No, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock and work out before the kids get up. Now, working out together and listening to worship music together is actually a way to bond. That's a better bonding tool than TV. But you're changing the dynamic of your marriage. And it might be a little bit till he gets on board or she gets on board. I think this is harder for women, and I'm going to say this because something came across my TikTok feed the other day, and a woman was talking about how she got weight loss surgery, and she realized that her husband really married her to serve him. And of course, biblically, there is, like, you are in servant leadership. Both of you are in servant leadership. Both the husband and the wife are in servant leadership. But she was realizing that he wanted this sort of like mammy as a wife. And he didn't like the fact that she was getting healthy. And even though she wanted to make the marriage work, he didn't want it. He wanted the marriage where he was being taken care of completely. And so it ended. And I think this is hard for women because a lot of times women who are who have low self-value and low self-esteem, if they don't marry a man who really loves them for them, when they get healthy, they realize the man didn't even like them. He liked what they could do for him. And that is really tough. Most of the time when it's vice versa, if a man gets healthy, a woman will then follow along because, number one, men are natural leaders, but number two, women are like, oh no, not my man getting hot and I'm not. That's sort of like the typical conversation that happens with women. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, my husband started losing weight. Okay, I need to get on board. Right? We're just naturally motivated that way, but it's really tough for women when their husband, even if their husband is already like, let's use the word not overweight. I don't want to say healthy or fit, because healthy and fit is different than men who are simply just not fat. Those are two different things. Men who are simply not fat may not necessarily be interested in health and fitness. They may not necessarily see the value in health and fitness. Versus men who are, actually healthy and fit. They would love for their wives to join them in a workout and things like that. So it is, if women who are overweight are married to a man who doesn't really work out and is not into health and fitness, he's going to be intimidated by the fact that she is starting to get healthy and take care of herself, because he knows that he's not offering much to her. Which a healthy man, at least a man who has some semblance of emotional and spiritual, psychological health, will go, oh, let me go ahead and hop on this. Let me go ahead and make sure that I add to this woman's life versus, what's wrong with you? Why are you wanting to be fit? And why are you wanting to be healthy? Because that's oftentimes what happens. So I understand, and the older I get, the more that I work with clients, the more I realize that a lot of our barriers to getting healthy are not necessarily like willpower or determination, but also just these familial binds that we have, these familial strongholds where our partners are really not down, they're really not advocates for us getting healthy, and so we feel like we're fighting an uphill battle with getting fit. So anyway, I just want to talk about this really quickly in today's video. If you guys have comments, if you've experienced this, I also want to encourage you and just say, what I've learned in my own marriage, my short 2 years of marriage, is that if you're doing the godly thing, the right thing, the holy thing, if your husband will eventually catch up. So it's not like you have to, immediately be like, he's not on board, what's wrong with him? No, sometimes it takes men a while, that Holy Spirit, that little unction that he'll give them takes a little while to kick in. So I would say to just be patient and to keep doing the right thing, because really, and I know I'll say this to close, I do think that the health of the home is the woman's domain. I do believe that in a spiritual sense too. I believe the health of the home is the woman's domain. So it is our job as women to make sure our home is healthy. And when we model that, of course, men should model it too. Actually, children follow men more than women. But if we're cooking and we're, scheduling activities for kids and things like that, that is our domain. So we can take hold of that and not feel like we're leading men in that way. We're simply changing the dynamic of the home. All right, you guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.